how losing $40,000, upwards of $40,000 in my business, taught me to listen to my heart and my gut and not the world on what is right for me. There's a saying out there that you pay to learn. You either pay in time, you pay in money, you pay in effort. So we have to start choosing, what do we want to pay in? What's the currency that you want to pay in to learn that lesson? That's what this podcast is here about. I'm going to be breaking down what happens when you choose what's right for you. What's happening inside of your world, what's happening inside of you. What is right is based off of that, not what's right in the world at the precise time. So doing what's working inside of the world is considered the right thing to do. How to make money, the fastest way to do this, the fastest way to market, network, to find your clients, your leads, to talk to your kids, to work with your kids. There's always another person's perspective on what's right. But it doesn't mean it's right for you. So, yeah, I understand that knee-jerk reaction that's like, oh, it's working for them. It's going to work for me. But I want you to really think about that. Really feel into it and see what's right for you. Because every time I chose a big decision and I chose what was right, the right way based off somebody else, I learned in effort. It was effort because I didn't understand what's up, and I suffered dearly for it. And it's not always overt. Like, early on in my life, I learned milk did not work for me. The dairy just did not work for me. And I had eczema and I had all these different things. I healed so much inside my body. So I eliminated milk and I moved to almond. And I was drinking the almond milk, right? And I did that for years until I hit another plateau where things wasn't getting right. Things didn't feel right. I couldn't optimize my body and get myself right. So I took a sensitivity test and I found that I was sensitive to almonds. I didn't listen to my body. I did what was considered right. And that hurt me. And I fell into that trap time and time again. And we've all done it. We've all fell into the trap of listening to somebody else because they are the guru, they know more, they do stuff. And you run into it because they got a huge return, you should get a huge return. But it doesn't always work like that. That's what I want to talk to you about today. In my everybody has their big stories. In my story, I've learned through my $40,000 plus mistake how to listen to my heart. And I'm going to walk you through it in many different ways. But the thing I really want you to focus on in this whole episode is how I kept on getting the signs, kept on getting the small little hints. Very similar to my almond milk story. I was still itchy. It wasn't as bad. I was still itchy. And I had to effort. That's the key. So in this timeline, I already healed my eyes, already had a practice that was booming and growing. And this was in the timeline of sanctuaries and retreat centers were a massive hit. So I wanted a sanctuary. So I got 3 employees and I started training them. I started working with them and doing what I did, helping people, growing people, getting people to now empower themselves. Get people from that place where they start to trust and feel themselves. So it wasn't body work where you would come in and you would get body work. You would just feel better. It's like you would teach them and work with them and empower them to be better because that's what they need. It was different. I saw this being revolutionary, which it is. But something was wrong. I start to see the employees not doing things. I wasn't able to teach them well. I wasn't able to focus on the right things. Things just wasn't working out. Within a year, I was at training. I worked up to 3 employees doing 3 limits of, I have my Freedom Mastery experience now. It was called the Live Pain-Free Process. So it was all about getting a person's body to optimize. This was just the body portion of it. Where the Freedom Mastery experience is the whole kit and caboodle, mind, body, energy, soul, everything. So this was just the beginning part of that. I had a Reiki specialist. I had 2 body workers where we were getting the body to start working well. and getting things working, but it just wasn't kicking over. It wasn't right in that way, where I wasn't getting the results I was getting through somebody else. And that's a leadership issue, and I learned through that. And I learned now, but I learned to watch what was happening. But every single day I had to now put out a fire. Every single day I had to work with someone in a way where it just felt like it was draining the energy out of me. All because I wanted this spa, this retreat, this luxury thing. It was 3 different floors, 2 different floors, and they all had different levels to it. It was awesome. Epic. But what happened was, after a year of me putting out the high rent, all the expenses, all the different expenses that comes with running a retreat without the clientele building to get to that retreat, I realized that I was making a mistake. It wasn't the retreat that I wanted. I just wanted to help people. The retreat was what was the big boom in the industry. Everybody had something. If you had something good, it was based off a retreat. And you had big events, big everything. When I didn't really care for that, I wanted to work with someone specifically, one-on-one, and really transform their life. That's what my heart was called towards. Empowering them to do that. To break out of this functional hot mess that I'm calling today. We all have our hot mess. We all have our ish inside. It's just the people that are high performers are functional in that way. And they're able to use it to their advantage. To become intuitive and to transform that hot mess into an intuitive high performer, let's call it. You have to understand your beliefs. You have to understand that. And that's where the Live Pain-Free process transitioned into the Freedom Mastery experience in that way. But it took me learning to listen to my heart. And one of the hardest things I had to do, and I see all the stories on LinkedIn. I see so many people say it's so hard to let people go. And I freaking hated that feeling. I felt like a failure. I felt like it was horrible to not see that dream go through. But it was also liberating in that way to feel that weight get lifted, not because I failed, because I started listening to my heart. And then as I started listening to my heart, things just started to work out easier. That $40,000 plus mistake was a huge learning part where I blew through a lot of time, money, and effort. All 3 of them hit me. And it doesn't have to be that way if you just started to listen to your heart. So let me ask you this. Do you need a humongous learning experience that took me a year to finally see it and finally listen to myself and then take the hit and go and start listening to your heart, which is not always the funnest thing at first because we were told it's supposed to be a different way. We were told it's gonna work out in that way. We were told even when you start over, it's gonna be better for you, but they don't tell you how it feels. And then, based off of your experience, based off of how you do things, how you respond to that low feeling, how you pull yourself out, all those things they don't tell you about. It's the how. Everyone tells you the why. Everyone tells you the what. But no one really shows you the how. The reason why is because the how is elusive. Because it changes for each person. It takes you sitting down with yourself, learning about yourself, and understanding your experiences to realize how you're going to respond to that moment. Everyone is different. There's no cookie cutter approach to do it. That's why the Freedom Mastery exists, is because it's not cookie cutter. It's understanding you, me understanding you, you looking at yourself and say, why did I do that? And understanding that sitting in your soup, sitting in that place gives you your how. And then you map your world around how you respond. And as you start doing that, I started to learn my key mechanisms. I started to learn when I started to deviate, when I stopped showing interest, when I stopped showing the passion and love for something, I'm starting to deviate away from something. I'm no longer following my heart, my gut. I'm doing what I'm told. And I'm not a person that just does what I'm told. I have to create, I have to be, and I have to love up on it. And that's what you are capable of. That's what everyone is capable of. You just have to find out how you do it. And if you're not listening to your heart, you're not listening to your own inner child, you're going to effort. That is a key sign. You will effort. It will start to feel hard. It will start to really work at it. You'll say the things like, why is it so hard? This thing doesn't work out. Oh, I'm waiting for the shoe to fall off the other foot. And if you don't say those things, you'll start saying things like, I really don't like the way I feel in my skin. I'm not connecting with the people that I love. Like, you'll say all those things all the time, and it'll be in the back corner of your mind. And that's part of the issue that you have to start looking at. When you're not listening to your heart, when you're not listening to your body, to your mind, to your gut, things start to work off. Things start to feel off. You'll start to give away your power to other people, gurus, people to fix your problems, rather than being able to become curious. Now, don't get me wrong. We do need a guide. We do need help. But when we say, just tell me what to do, I'll do whatever, and never put you in it, eventually you'll hit a wall, because there is technique. There is things that need to be learned. I needed to learn the marketing. I needed to learn the sales techniques. I needed to learn the sales at the sales calls, lead gen. All those things work, but they only work for a certain amount of time, for a certain limited amount of resources that you have, right? So it's only about that. But if I didn't understand how I did those things, I wouldn't be able to pivot, which is a whole nother story on that. And I'm going to walk you through that later, my 2020 pivot. But you have to know who you are. You have to know how to follow your gut in order for you to take a learning lesson of 40K plus and realize that was a good thing. Because now I don't make that mistake. As well as I was present enough to start seeing all the trail signs that my body and my mind's not in something. So I stopped relatively early. I do what's right for me. I create the boundaries that's needed for me to, let's call it the bumpers in the bowling. So I can hit a strike all the time. So I'm always hitting pins. I'm always making moves that get me closer to what I really want, which is empowering others, being with my family, loving up on everyone that happens with all of my heart, to the point where I get upset when things just don't work out, right? I'm invested. I'm side by side with you, not pulling you or pushing you. That's the major difference. How are you living your life? Are you following your heart and your gut? Are you listening to that inner side chatter? Or are you consistently pushing it down, saying, this is going to work, this is going to work? Because it has the answer inside you. That's what's going to make you free. It's not always going to be ups. It's not always going to be down. But you're going to find this wave. And once you start getting into this wave, the wave will start going trajectory its way up until you're in a place that you don't even recognize. That is freedom. That is mastery, when you're able to see that. And you're able to adapt. And you're able to pivot and be able to live your life without compromise. And you'll be the leader that consistently grows more and more and more. And you're able to help other people do it, not you do it yourself. And you'll start to understand it's learning to feel and be with someone else before you can actually get them to do what they need to do. That's a different level of leadership right there. But I digress. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to start looking through one aspect of your life, whether it's business or personal. You choose and say, what am I listening to? Am I focusing on a strategy to make something better? Or are you sitting with a creative way within yourself to make your situation better? And it might take a second, but that is the question. In life or in business, are you listening? Are you trying to follow a strategy, which is mind-based, forward thinking, or internal-based, listening at what's happening with the other person, what's happening in the situation, and following your heart? Which one is it? I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear your feedback on this one, because that's what this is all about, empowering each other. And I would love to see how you feel about it. Until next time, thank you for listening to the Freedom Mastery Belief Breakthrough Podcast. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.